Turkey. So it's a beautiful Saturday morning, and we're excited to get into the conversation with you today. One more time, my name is Chigozie George. You can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram. My name is Chigozie George on any of these platforms, and you can watch all of our old videos and old conversations. Very inspiring conversations that change your life, motivate you to take the right steps and make the right decisions. And today I'm having another wonderful, amazing guest, a man who, ever since I've been in Turkey, a man who has been an inspiration and someone who his business acumen is one that everyone can testify of. I'm sure that you are ready for him, and I know he's also ready for you. So sit back, get a cup of coffee, get a cup of tea wherever you are. He is very loaded, and this conversation is going to be very enlightening, very informative, and very inspirational. So please welcome with me wherever you are, Honorable Ben Anyaibe. Thank you so much, Honorable Ben. Let me just give him a moment to talk about himself, and so that you can have a feel of the person we're having conversation with today. Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you so very much, my dear brother and my dear friend, and also my spiritual um, guide. A guy, you are my pastor as well. I really have benefited from your ministry, and it is very delightsome to be in this program today. Just as I've been introduced, my name is Ben Onyeukwu Anyaibe. Briefly, I have a business consulting and education consulting company in the name of Diamond Gates. So if you need any services in that area, you're welcome. Maybe investment in Nigeria, you're a Turkish person, you're looking for a reliable source to make investment, it will be a pleasure to help you out, as I have helped many other businesses and any other interest in Nigeria. If you're in Nigeria and you want to have a license office here or source for materials and things, you can also do that. I also am the current president of the Nigerian Standout Conversation, NIDO, Turkey chapter. And I don't, maybe by the time we continue the conversation, you may get to know a little more about me. Now, I just want to say I have been watching this program from afar, but it just happened that today I am in the program and part of the program, and I'm delighted to be here. Happy weekend to each and every one of you, and looking forward to a very engaging and useful conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. We're very happy, really happy to have you on the conversation. And like he said, he's a very reliable person. If you want to have a business in Turkey, or you want to have a liaison office in Turkey, he's someone that you can work with. And I know that he's gonna bring a lot of beauty to our conversation this morning. So let's quickly get into the conversation, because I know that sometimes when we start, we think we have a lot of time, and before you know it, time is just it just goes so fast. But like we always do, let me know, everybody, if you can hear us clearly, if there if your the voice is okay, or if you cannot hear us clearly, please feel free to let us know, and we'll see what we can do about it. At the same time, in the time of the conversation, if you have any questions for Honorable, you can please write down the questions in the chat, and we are very sure that he will attempt to answer the questions, and we'll try our best to give you an answer. Let me quickly get back to you, sir. Um, you've been here longer than I can imagine, because you've been here long enough before I came into Turkey. So I have a question I want to start with. Now, as an African living in diaspora, living in Turkey, what has been your experience like? You've been here for so long. What's been the experience as an African living in diaspora?
Actually, yes, you're right. I've been here for over 20 years now, and
Whoa.
my my life here has been, progressive. That's the easiest way simplest way to put it. Is it progressive from one level and one vocation to another, but for better. And yeah, uh, as a foreigner living here, I can say there are lots of good um, experience and some not so good experience, if you may. And so living in Turkey is like living in a place where you have to look deeper. You have to look not where everybody's looking in order to, um, do well. And then in the process, you also have to be cautious how quickly you yield to things and people around you. So overall, there are good sides and there are also not so good sides.
Yeah, which is common to everywhere you live. In every country, in every city, there are the good side and the bad side. You know, one of the things that I notice about most people who come into Turkey is people want to see Turkey as a road to somewhere else, like the place they're passing through. But you haven't seen this place as a place to pass through to somewhere. You've made this place a home. And what do you what will be your thoughts around people who feel like it's not possible to make it here? I'm just gonna pass through this place. What will be your thoughts around that? That's just a follow-up question on your answer.
It depends on what you are looking for. It depends on how much you understand the dynamics of life and
Hmm.
what you want to make of yourself. First of all, if you are someone who wants to get a gainful employment and work under someone all your life, yeah, maybe he may not serve you well. There might be a lot of other opportunities to work elsewhere because here there is a little bit of unemployment, and so the state policy does not really encourage giving the job that the local can do to foreigners. But if you are the type that you love to explore, see opportunities and seize them, there are boundless opportunities in Turkey can benefit you, help you to improve your financial aspirations in business. Let me specifically say in business. There could be other services we can also give, but in business, there are so many business opportunities that one can explore in Turkey. And from the background that I come from, um, business is something, even when I am focused on reading, studying, I see that. So I think that is one of the main attraction or appeal that has made me stay in Turkey. So I see many opportunities in business, and I try from time to time to explore as many as possible, and they are still available for people who are in business inclined. So if you like this, um, the Turkish people are also hungry to explore and extend their businesses elsewhere, especially in Africa. So when you come in contact with triggers or people of that nature, um, your the thing you are able to spot out the opportunities, then that can be like a connection to start, practically working on those experiences or opportunities together.
So if people are willing to explore, if people are willing to go into business, this is you believe that this is a right place to be. But if you want to work with someone all your life, you want to be employed all your life, this might not be the right place to be.
Ex-
That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
And you say there are several opportunities if you're looking for opportunities.
Exactly.
Great. Okay. You've heard about the, for those of us who are not Nigerians, there's something called Jackpot syndrome. It's like people wanted to, migrate, move to other countries from their countries. So you have a lot of Turkish people also, let me use that word, jackpotting out of Turkey as well. You have a lot of Nigerians also jackpotting and running out of the country as well. As someone who is experienced in living in diaspora, what advice would you have for someone who says, okay, I don't want to live in Nigeria, I want to get out of this country? What, from your experience, what pieces of advice, what three lessons can you give to that person?
Maybe from the experience I have here, even Turkish people who want to Jaqua, they Jaqua with more or less impact patriotism for Turkey and for the country itself. So, and that makes them, when they Jaqua, they are eager to come here
Okay.
and come back. So, the same thing I see in Nigeria. To me, I think if any Nigerian who is in diaspora, uh,
Mm-hmm.
before leaving, they have dreams, they have ideas of what to expect from the white man, the Westerner, or the
Mm-hmm.
European. And when you get there, you may see that most of your expectations may not be as you have it in mind. Economically,
Mm-hmm.
you might be blessed. You might, have an improved life, improved standard of living, maybe earn a little more. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say is that the patriotism, the love for your country, if is in you, no matter how flourishing, how um, you know your dreams of making more money or improving
Mm-hmm.
yourself comes true, no matter how big you become in the land of your sojourn, you
Mm-hmm.
you want to replicate that back to your country, back home.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, maybe one of the things I've been working on is to give back to the society. And that
Mm-hmm.
I don't see myself as abandoning Nigeria. So
Okay.
I think it's a wrong mentality to think of abandoning Nigeria. And why I mentioned Turkish people at the beginning is there is a lack of patriotism, maybe due to the disorganized system and political atmosphere in Nigeria. But um, lastly, I want to say that when it comes to also making it in life, the opportunities to make it in life abound in Nigeria more than anywhere else you can think about. You ask me, why am I here? Yes, I understand that the system does not support individuals. The system does not encourage individuals, and that is the rationale behind the Jaguar syndrome. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, if you're talking of exploring opportunities, I have recently, even before now, found that there are Nigerians who are on the corner providing needed services, and they're also well off. So I would like to say that the Japa syndrome is not totally out of place, but
Mm-hmm.
don't do so with with that kind of abandonment mindset. Do
Mm-hmm.
so to improve yourself, to
Mm-hmm.
increase financially, economically, and see how you can reflect back and help build the community where you're from, if not the country itself.
Okay. So what you're trying to say is that here people are very patriotic here. There's this patriotism that is in their soul.
Yes,
But you say that we don't see the same sense of patriotism in Nigerians.
exactly.
So when these people japa out of their country, they still carry that patriotic mind and spirit.
Ex-
And when they're successful, they still come back to their country, invest in it, and help to change the system.
Exactly.
But then our own people, when we japa, when we leave, it's like we're saying goodbye. It's like we're saying goodbye, we're not coming back. But you are saying that's not right.
Moral.
If I get you right, what you're saying is it's okay to go abroad, it's okay to be in diaspora, but don't forget home. Don't forget that we need to come back and build something, make our place good, make our place livable so that our children don't have to japa.
Exactly. Because that is to me, that is, if that is the essence of you being a Nigerian or wherever you come from in Nigeria. That affinity to, to your heritage, affinity to
Mhm,
where you're from, to your identity.
mhm,
If you're in diaspora and you totally get detached,
mhm,
it doesn't speak well of what you have learned.
mhm,
Out
mhm,
here, people are proud of their heritage. People are proud of who they are. People are even going to more or less barren, um, places
mhm,
kiss, to kiss the land where they are from.
mhm,
The conversation about uh, respecting, promoting,
mhm,
and identifying with your culture, with the people, and why are you taking people as example? Anywhere they are in the world, they want to, they keep track with their culture, with their
mhm,
heritage. So apart from that, you meet other people from US or Ireland or England. So you see also they have a little bit of pride. So if for any reason you get so carried away and detached from your identity, from who you are, your traveling is defeated. So,
mhm,
and I think the current wave of immersing yourself into the life out there and abandoning Nigeria is not right. Just go
mhm.
explore and come back. Maybe it is our time to get the secret of what makes this place what it is, so that
Mhm.
we can use that to strengthen what we have back home.
I love that ideology. I honestly believe that the onus is on all of us, everyone who is in diaspora, regardless of where you are, whatever you have learned in that place, whatever principles, whatever ethics you think is making the system there work, it is important that we all come together. We all have that desire to go back and say, okay, I'm going to contribute this to my state. I'm going to contribute to this to my local government. I'm going to contribute this to my community. I'm going to contribute this as in the country as a whole. I think that is what is actually missing sometimes. But I also believe that I don't know what your thoughts will be on this. We have a lot of this government the politicians, the government officials who travel far and wide. They have their children schooling in all of these big places. They go around the world. They see the systems that are functional, and you want to ask yourself, for heaven's sake, you see a functional system. Why is it so hard to replicate these systems in our place? This is not just about Nigeria. This is about almost all developing countries. You want to ask this sort of questions. You have politicians from all parts of the world in these developing countries. They go around to other parts of the world where things are functional, and you ask, why can't you just replicate this?
You know what I think on this? Maybe it's two things. Number one, um, entitlement mentality.
Hmm.
Now, we have a kind of culture and system that is quote unquote built on respect. And
Hmm.
people have aggravated that into status symbols that
Mm-hmm.
need to be maintained and is quite aggressively competitive among the
Mm-hmm.
peers. So when people see themselves in a place of wealth and authority, they
Mm-hmm.
think uh, I and people around me, my family, should just keep this and let everybody else worship us, let everybody else be on that.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel like if we give them chance, if they know what we know, if they get uh, life easier, then they will compete with us. They will become like us, and so they are happy to stay on top, and everybody else under them. And that reminds me of one of the governors who once said, was it a commissioner or minister, that during the period when people were using terrestrial phone, that making terrestrial phone easy and available in every home, it is just destroying what that is meant for. That it is meant for only rich people. It shouldn't be for
Hmm.
everybody. And then
Hmm.
just like we have dilapidated, death traps called federal roads in Nigeria, they also believe it's a way of stopping people from moving into the city or getting access to, improving themselves. So, recognizing poverty against the people has become a norm, especially among the elites. If you go into the office, somebody is a boss, he feels like he is a semi-god. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that will make him not to allow anybody to come close to him. So I think
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the biggest problems. These are politicians and leaders. They travel, they see all these things, they feel it is good, but they think if we give it to these people, they will gain too much. They will become, they will have so much welfare, and they will be like us. They will begin to rub shoulders with us. It's better let them remain there. I mean, sorry to say, I'm not, I am a pro-northern person, but the best example of this is the North. So they have the elites of the North have perpetually kept the masses poor in order to maintain that status. Let everybody
Mm-hmm.
on Fridays and weekends and worship them and sit around and get peanuts, and they just feel big and feel comfortable, and they want this to continue. Though it's everywhere in the east, in the south, but more in the north. So I think that's aggravated entitlement mindset that has made these people not to do anything. But another one, which is simple, is greed. We have a greedy leaders, and who want to get everything for themselves and leave nothing for the people. So, as long as this continues, no matter what they see elsewhere, they don't really care to replicate it back.
But the truth is, change is inevitable. Change is inevitable in our Nigerian system.
Mhm.
Information is everywhere. People can see people can see what every governor, what every politician is doing right now. It's gone are the days where people can hide their lifestyle anymore. People can no longer hide it. So even with people on their smartphones can see what's happening. So I am totally convinced that there comes a time where the citizens of every country where there is massive corruption will one day say to themselves, we've had enough. And I think that the day the masses say we've had enough, that's gonna be a very chaotic day in any country, especially in Nigeria. Anyway, I don't want us to dwell so much on that. I wanna quickly ask a simple question. I don't know for you, but I have had a conversation with a couple of persons who are in diaspora. It seems we all have the same need, or there's always this requirement on us to prove ourselves that we are good and worthy of positions that we are not just good for, we are really good in it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you have experienced that. That sometimes there is this demand that simply because you're an African, people think you're not good enough. It's like when they say that people are assumed innocent until proven guilty. But it seems to me that Africans are assumed, you know, ignorant until proven smart or intelligent. Have you had the need to prove yourself to people who ordinarily you shouldn't have the need to prove yourself to?
Yeah. Um, okay. Let me put it this way. As a Christian, I would say grace has been my coverage and my help. I really haven't had the need to prove myself that much, not because there are no expectations from maybe people I've worked with or so. Now, why do I say that? Because, yes, I have, before people give you opportunity to do something, they, have this um, uh, misconception and prejudice that you are African and you cannot deliver until you start to, um, do something. Now, let me give you an example. One of the schools I worked with, we were preparing some group of uh, top executives in one of the ministries to go to the U.S. For 6 months or so, and they were, just doing the uh, TOEFL level kind of skill development, and they had like three teachers, one from Canada, one from uh, US, another one, I think Irish or British, and they turned them out. They said they couldn't explain well and all that and all that. So in 2 weeks, three teachers were changed. And eventually, when I was asked to go to this class, um, immediately it was me. Like we were just talking about, people not measuring up. This Nigerian. So I walked into the class with a bottle of water, and I went to them. Their faces were so hard. They
Mm-hmm.
were like, you know, they've looked on their face has already written me off.
Hmm.
So, and in that kind of situation, I didn't panic. I knew what I had to offer, what I know, I am doing. So I went straight into the class. Then, when I saw their faces, I did not even say hello. I did not greet them. I, placed my file on the table and then grabbed my bottle of water. I looked back at them. I opened the bottle of water. I drank almost half the bottle. And then I walked from one end of the class to another, not talking to them. And then I stood in the middle and looked at them, and they smiled. I was, oh my goodness, so you guys can smile. You know what my grandmother told me? He said, if you smile, the world will smile back to you. I wrote it on the They
Mm-hmm.
started laughing. And I said, look, you guys have been, I know you have a problem with the teachers. Can somebody tell me what the problems are? And they started talking. And whatever they said, I didn't make any comment. I said, wait a minute, I wrote it on the board. After a few minutes, I said, okay, wait a minute. Now, look at you guys. This is exactly what you said, Ahmed. This is exactly what you said, I said. These are full of grammatical mistakes. You are here turning out the teachers wrong, but look at what you have, what you're producing. Now, this sentence is wrong. Can somebody correct it? Blah, 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 blah. And then before the 45 minutes elapsed, they were so captivated, they were so engaged, and before I knew it, they ran to the coordinator and said, we have found our project. We have found our project now. So what I'm trying to say is that for some reasons, I see the prejudice, I see the disdain, but by the time I start to do what I am called to do, I leave them with no chance to continue with that. So I see this, I meet a British person, the person said, oh, you're from Nigeria. Oh, very corrupt country, very, very corrupt. He said he worked for the Standard and Poor's, and he started telling me how corrupt the Nigerian banks are. I'm like, ooh, I guess they are coming up because they are not. What you have just told me is not. It is not to be measured with what Barclays Bank did or Citibank did. So you guys, maybe just wait for them to catch up with you soon. And he was like, what did you say was your name? So I think sometimes maybe getting ourselves kind of prepared and confident, that prejudice will dissipate within. And
Great.
that has been my experience.
Great. So I totally want to agree with you. There will be prejudices. There will be people requesting that we prove ourselves. But you are saying what is most important is that at every point in time that you show up prepared, you show up ready.
Yes.
Without even with these prejudices, wherever in the US they have these prejudices. In fact, I tell people that in the US it's top notch. When people look at Africans or look at Nigerians and say, oh, Nigerians are corrupt, I say, listen, the Brits are corrupt, exceedingly corrupt. The Americans are corrupt. Everywhere, people are corrupt. But when people look at Nigerians or look at Africans, they said these bars of prejudices on us. But it is on us to come in prepared and ready to give our best and to defeat such prejudices. So I just want to thank you for sharing that thought anyway. I'm trying as much as I
And
can
don't forget, I'm also, I call it God's grace upon my life. So I think that is that fact as well.
that's you see the thing is I never want to I'm not someone who disputes what grace can do. No, I never do that. I've also learned that people must never use it as an excuse to not do what they ought to do as people.
Mhm. Mhm.
I never, no matter, people must learn to do what they ought to do. There's the God factor in everything, but there is the you factor in what people must do. I think it's important that when it comes to discussing with Nigerians and impacting Africans, we also emphasize to them that it's important that they focus on also on the you factor, the things that you ought to do and get in place.
Exactly.
That's always my line of thoughts. Okay, I want to quickly say I know you've operated your company for so long. I've seen the things you do. I want to ask quickly, what lessons have you learned in building and sustaining a business? For someone who is starting afresh, someone, regardless of where they come from, what lessons have you learned when it comes to building and sustaining a business?
Wow. For building businesses, yeah, uh, there are a few lessons I guess I have learned. Um, Now, if you are starting a business here, um, the first thing you should do is to try as much as possible and build a functioning, dynamic network of people,
Functional dynamic network.
people that matter. Um, I usually tell people how I started. I was just like a common English teacher, but uh, the flair added to my work just got me sent to top executive in the schools I was working with. And those top executives are connected with someone who the business. Oh, we want to do something in Nigeria. Ah, no, my teacher is a Nigerian. So I got myself invited to speak to CEOs, to speak to people, and they got me to help them arrange a hotel, get somebody who will guide them or drive them in Nigeria. And I did all that free of charge for nearly 4 years, just teaching. So eventually, when I was ready to go into business, I already have a network of valuable people who I can start with, who I can tell this is what I'm doing. So, and we know business is about connection, is about who you know and who knows you.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it involves money and so much of trust is needed. The first focus is to find a way to build a good network of people who will, run with you or walk with you when you eventually start. The second thing is, have an eye that can easily spot out opportunities around you. So, you know, some people rely on, great opportunities, they don't see them at all. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you're here in Turkey, there are even opportunities that have not been explored. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I just discovered that charcoal, charcoal is a big business here, just last month. So, for example, and it came through conversation and all that. But what I'm trying to say is there are opportunities here, there are opportunities back home that could be translated into a service here. So
Mm-hmm.
be able to spot opportunities. And the third thing I would like to say, yeah, don't be afraid of taking risks. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, business is risky. If it means trying one business or the other, don't hide on the excuse they will chop my money back home or my money will. So, you know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, be, be strong enough to take that risk. But of course, you should count your, look at evaluate all the pros and cons before
Mm-hmm.
you do so. So that is my advice to people who want to go into business. Then lastly, look before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look before you leave. Not because you know Mr. Chigozie is doing it, I want to do it too. The other person is doing it, I want to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
before you make that move, you should um, count the cost and get advice if it is possible, take all the precautionary measures, and then you can get started.
I like the fact that you started with the network.
Yeah.
People always underestimate the power of people. No matter how smart you are, you need people.
Yes.
No matter how intelligent you are, you need people. No matter how great the idea is, you need people. Great ideas can suddenly become small without people, but small ideas can become great when it's aligned well with a network of people. So I like the fact that you emphasize need for networking. And also I enjoy the fact that you say take the risk. Take the risk. People are so scared of taking risk. But I always tell people, take the risk. It's risky, as people say, not to take risk. Anyway, you've spoken so much about Turkey's relationship, business opportunities between Nigeria and Turkey, and otherwise. I want to quickly say, just like every other countries, every other superpower countries, or emerging superpower countries, Turkey is trying its best to become a major player in all affairs, be it politics. In every angle you look at it, whether it is trying to solve the problem of war between Russia and Ukraine, Turkey is doing their best to be a major player. Whether it is between the Palestine and Israel, Turkey is playing the part. When it was whatever be the problem, you always see Turkey trying to play a part there. And you can see Turkey also moving to Africa. Turkish companies are moving as fast as possible into Africa. Do you think that Turkey is becoming another neo-colonialist power in Africa, or are they trying to have a relationship that is mutually beneficial between African countries and Turkey?
Wow, I feel like I'm sitting before Stephen Saka actor. Um, yeah, okay, simply put, my answer is no and yes. Um, Turkey, in its unique approach to a lot of things, is not cannot be classified as one of those neo-colonialists who are trying to recolonize Africa. And
Hmm.
at the same time, the win-win mutual respect policy is more or less in principle. When it
Hmm.
gets to practice, there are a lot of dynamics there. Now, on the neo-colonialist aspect, Turkey is principally against neo-colonialism,
Okay.
and with their dealings in Africa, what I observe is that Turkey wants to carve a niche for themselves in these African countries. And in doing so, they want to have a strong footing in the country
Hmm.
at the highest level. And in doing so, they're doing so in order to compete strongly with any other neo-colonialist or superpower that is either already in the country or aspiring to get into the country. And so while doing all this, so you find out that um, you know they are exerting some kind of influence in the way things are done. But on the other side, the biggest Turkish ambition is to make foreign earnings for their country,
Good.
provide market for their industry. And so the manner in which this is done is debatable. But the end goal is to make a lot of money, foreign revenue for the country. So,
Hmm.
and sometimes this can demand, uh, strong military ties or
Hmm.
this kind of support from Turkey in order to maybe do this in
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
the Turkish main goal is market for their economy and industries, whereas if in the process they influence the country, the people so much so that they become excited, pro-Turkish, or influenced by everything Turkey. They are
Hmm.
also happy with that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but it is not the primary goal. So,
Okay.
in my observation.
I want to say, as an African living in Turkey who's had conversation with Africans living in other countries, we want to have a relationship with Turkey We're happy to continue to build relationships with Turkey, but Africa's gone through so much with colonization, neocolonialism, and we believe, I want to believe, that every African country is thinking to themselves, every relationship with any other country must be mutually beneficial. Every business relationship must be mutually beneficial. Whatever military relationship, final economic relationship, every other way must be, should be mutually beneficial, not one where another country exerts itself or makes itself superior above the other. We believe, regardless of your color, regardless of where you come from, all of us as humans, we have equal rights to whatever is happening around us. So that's just what I would believe and say. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to quickly
Let me just
move.
add
All right.
nothing.
Yes, sir.
Let me say categorically that Turkey is much better than so many superpowers and new
Of
colonies
course.
trying to still uh, grab and grab out of Africa, because Turkey is they are willing to share, you know, technical, know-how with
Mm-hmm.
African countries, which
Yes.
is really, really um, something to praise the people in
Mm-hmm.
comparison with all these other countries who have interest in Africa. So for that reason, if we have strong leadership back home, I think the 50-50, the mutual respect can be achieved with Turkey. It is when the leadership is too uh,
Weak.
weak and doesn't know, um, their left or right, then of course, if they get people here to do everything for them, that automatically can translate to, too much conflict. But otherwise, pretty much better than most of the other.
That's good to know. That's really good to know. I want to quickly, move into something that I know that should be of natural occurrence in our conversation.
Okay.
Now, it is just normal to most human beings to believe in supernatural powers. I think it's akin to human nature to believe and trust in supernatural power. That's the essence of religious organization. That's the base of religious organizations. The need to believe in something bigger than us, something higher than us. I want to ask a question. I know there's a great difference between being religious and having faith. How essential, or what is the impact of religious organizations across Africa and the world, and how so different is being religious to having faith? I want to start first forward the impact of these religious organizations across Africa, Nigeria, and around the world.
Wow. Yeah. Just like you briefly established the fact that we all need God. We need to, pledge allegiance to our Creator. So it is out of place for anyone to
Hmm.
make light of the fact that we are designed by the Creator, who is all knowing and more um,
Hmm.
intelligent and more powerful than us. Uh,
Hmm.
Having said that, I think I am. I try as much as possible not to be religious because I fear religion. I fear religion even when I was 40. I am a product of Assemblies of God Church. And even in those days, of God Church was known to be one of the uh, most, you know, highest kind of faith sect in Pentecostal religion. And coming to the question about religion in Nigeria, I just simply want to say religion has actually never helped nations in benefiting individuals of
Mm-hmm.
religion, and maybe will never do so. The
Mm-hmm.
case of Nigeria is not different. So Nigeria has used religion to keep people from asking the right questions,
Mm-hmm.
from taking the right actions, and from and sometimes um, turning them away from the main, if you like, the main focus of the religion, which is to 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 be closer to the Maker God,
Mm-hmm.
as well as maybe uh, earn eternal life after their life on earth. So religion has always been a stumbling block. You know, in the words of Jesus, he says, you know, in the Bible, he said they have the form of godliness, but deny the power thereof. So some I see the religions in Nigeria, the people have every form of godliness, but the power is
Mm-hmm.
there. And number two, it is not people focused. It is not
Mm-hmm.
it is not building people to to good statesmen, to great contributors to the society. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that is another failure of religion. And there is emphasis on the wrong things, and either ignoring the right thing that will build people into into um, uh, good statesmen, good citizens, leaders, as well as contributors to developing the society. So religion is really diverting people's attention from what they need to do. And so in Africa, um, there is a lot of misconception. There is a lot of misleading of the people through religion.
Okay. I don't have much time, but I want to quickly add one question before we round up. You see, when it comes to the treatment of Africans around the world, do you think that Africans are considered important in the scheme of things in the countries where they are? You head the organization of diasporans in Turkey, Europe chapter. Do you think that Africans are considered important when decisions are being made or in the general scheme of things, not just in Turkey, around the world? Do you think Africans are considered important in the scheme of things?
The answer is categorically no, they are not. They are not.
Hmm.
The reasons are simple. Because Africa has created um, they've created that dynamic for themselves because they go around begging when they should be the one, giving to other people. So they go about presenting themselves as unimportant.
Hmm.
You hear a lot of Pan-African uh, advocates talking about putting Africa in one basket and one country will invite all of them. And you see like tens of presidents go to one country, to be hosted and be helped and be, so it is not continental kind of honor. It is just one country putting Africa in one basket only to tell what to do. So that is going on so much, and you have leaders who will not see anything wrong in that. You know what they say:
Mhm.
"You make your bed, so you lie on it." So the leadership in Africa is changing, and look at what
Mhm.
is happening in Niger. Look at what is happening in Tanzania, and when we begin to look at ourselves and see ourselves truly how blessed we are, then we can redefine the dynamic. But at the moment, Africans are just treated with, when they are given respect, it's more or less ceremonial to
Mhm.
please, to please the public out there, but
Mhm.
substantially, the respect is not there.
I think I share your thoughts, especially when you say that one country somewhere invites all of African presidents and say, oh, it's going to be Turkish African Congress, it's going to be Romanian African Congress, it's going to be Canada African Congress. I think our leaders need to understand there's no single country in the world that should have the capacity or should say to themselves, we want to bundle all African countries in one meeting. If you want to meet with Kenyan leaders, meet with the Kenyan leaders. If you want to meet with Cameroonian leaders, meet with Cameroonian leaders. But if Europe wants to meet with African leaders, that's fair. So I want to join you to call on our leaders across the continent as well. It is important that we help shape the future of our children. We don't take ourselves important. If we don't consider ourselves important, nobody will consider us important.